There are loads of reasons why people leave the army, and that will change from cap badge to cap badge and from unit to unit. However, what I'm going to go through are the top 5 reasons, generally army-wide, why people leave the army. Right, the first one is career progression, or as I like to say, people who are a little bit disgruntled because they didn't get promoted. Now, with regards to being in the army, everyone will generally work hard, but at the same time, those who don't still expect to get promoted in line with their peers. And those that do work hard, who should get promoted, sometimes don't. That is unfair. However, life can be unfair. So, at your first low point in the army, if you don't get promoted and you see someone who does get promoted that you think doesn't deserve it, that should not be a catalyst for you to sign off and just throw your career away. There is no need for that. Just keep working hard, and as one guy once told me years and years and years ago, the cream always rises to the top, and you will catch up and you will overtake. But I do understand that at that time, on that day, when you don't get promoted and you see other people do, you will feel down. It has happened to me. It just happens. That's life. You just got to keep going at it, and sooner or later, everything will be back in a fluid motion and you'll be exactly where you want to be in your career again. So with regards to career progression, don't feel down if you don't get promoted. Just keep at it. So the next one is going to be continual changes to the army. So with Army 2020, we've had base closures, we've had a reduction in personnel as well. And for some cap badges, say the Intelligence Corps who work with military intelligence, where they've had base closures, they've got a lot less of a pool of postings. So there's not many postings perhaps up north or in Scotland or in the Midlands, and a lot of their postings, for instance, might be down south. And if they're from up north, then that's such a diminishing pool of postings that have come from the changes themselves that the army have introduced. People have started signing off, and of course there's an instability in that as well. So with the Army 20 refined again, we've been losing cap badges. So people that have been in certain cap badges, they've seen that go, and they've then been swallowed up into other cap badges. And what you'll find, people in the army, they become very proud of the cap badges that they work in. So a lot of people they get to that point, they think, right, I've had enough, the time is gone. If you get to that point, and if that happens to you, just remember, you're in the army, and the army is one holistic beast. Yes, it's a little bit tribalistic when it comes to the cap badges, signals, engineers, REME, infantry, and all the different cap badges in the infantry. But at the end of the day, we're still one big army. So if you do get to the point where your cap badge might disappear or you're losing postings, try not to worry about that. You're not going to be in the army forever anyways. You'll be out after 22 or 24 years. So just try and focus on your career as best you can, unless it has a huge impact on what you want to do for the future. Family stability. This is a big one for people leaving the army. So usually, a lot of the time, every time you get promoted, especially in certain cap badges, if there's not a place for you to move into that rank, if you go from corporal to sergeant, sergeant to staff sergeant, if there's no places at that unit for you to move into that rank, you will be moving to a different unit. And if you are married, that means uprooting your wife or your husband and uprooting your children and taking them out of school as well. And if they've just managed to settle in after 2 years and they're enjoying it at a specific place, and your spouse has just managed to get a job as well, then you have to uproot them all. It really isn't fair on them. So what I would say is, prepare your spouse. If you marry someone who isn't from a military background, I would say to prepare them for it and just let them know that in fact you could well be moving locations every 2 to 3 years. And if you can do that, and if you can start getting used to it, which is difficult, then that could possibly prevent you from NTT in notification to terminate your contract early and getting out of the army early as well. Right, job satisfaction. Being in the army, you are not going at it 100% of the time. There are always going to be what we say lulls in the battle, and it's going to be slow. Some days you are literally just going to be doing very little, to be perfectly honest with you, and it can get quite boring. On the other side, you could be doing a lot of the time. Therefore, some people find it very difficult to move from a sedate state, from doing virtually nothing, to then, in a flick of a switch, being at it all of the time for 6 months at the time if you go on tour, for instance. And they don't get much satisfaction out of that. Also, they've been playing a lot of Call of Duty and they join the army and they think they're going to be on the ranges every single day. It's not going to be like that. The army doesn't have the money to send everyone on the ranges all of the time because brass costs money. So therefore, people do find it difficult, and the expectation that they had of the army, it just doesn't live up to it. So therefore, the job satisfaction isn't what they thought it was going to be. And also, there are a lot of desk jobs in the army as well, because that's how you make the army run at the same time as being on the battlefield. So I would prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself for times where you're going to be quite sedentary. But during those times, get yourself on a course. Get yourself to the gym. Get as fit as possible. Brush up on your map reading skills, your CBRN. There is loads and loads you can do in the military when you are quite bored, for instance. So job satisfaction, if that's a reason that people are signing off for, then really they're not very proactive and the army might not need them anyway. Right, last one is opportunities outside. By outside, we mean in Civvy Street. So, you've been in the army, and one of the reasons to NTT is kind of like crossed your head, perhaps you've been passed over for promotion, anything like that really, like we've just gone through, and you've had a job offer from an outside agency. Just think about it before you do push the button to get out of the military. I've met a lot of people who have got out of the military with a promise of a job and it really didn't live up to its expectation. And in that job, they've had low job satisfaction because they thought it was going to be something else. And they've had to move around a lot and had to uproot their family again with that job. So what I would say is just think about it before you then go to another job and really dig into what that job entails, because it could be for a lot more money, because civilian industry do pay a lot more money, but they also want a lot more from you at the same time. So when it comes to opportunities outside and you're signing off to take another job, for like 80 or 90% of the leavers of the army, it will work. I'm not an idiot, I know that there is more money to be had, but for those 10%, they rejoin back up again. So if I was you, just really look into it and think hard before you then take a job offer from outside of the army itself, if you're leaving early and not retiring, so to speak. So they're the 5 general reasons why people NTT early within the military, and have had a look from all different units and all different cap badges, and those are the 5 ones which come up the most in all the surveys that they have done. If you do have any questions, please let me know, and speak to you soon. Bye.